Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asaph Adonai, and welcome to this extra special edition of Asaph Cafe. This is our third season, our very first episode, and I'm very humbled to get this opportunity to share our third season with Jennifer Sawyer and our veteran guest and our co-host Patti Reed with our mascot Pee-wee, and she's just resting comfortably. We're outside here, and we have a new set, same program. And so, instead of doing a traditional This Guy's in Love with You, I'm going to start off with Santa Lucia, because that's a perfect song when you're outside.
And we're going to try some Irish stuff since it's still March.
Yes, but let's start off with Santa Lucia's first. Pretty.
I've heard of that song. They play that song a lot in music boxes.
Yeah. Pretty song. This is a beautiful song.
It's spring's music.
There you go.
Yay.
Santa Lucia is the name of that song.
And where does that hail from?
I don't know who wrote that song, but I always think of Jim Nabors every time I hear that.
Oh, really?
There's a clip of him on the Andy Griffith Show
Oh, okay.
singing that song. The episode basically, Barney Fife was going to do the solo in the choir, and he didn't sing very well.
No.
And so they were practicing Santa Lucia, and Jim Nabors, or Gomer Powell, the character, was fixing his car outside. And he heard them singing that song, so he started singing along with them, and then
Yeah, he
everybody
has a
noticed
large
his voice.
vibrato. You know, he could rattle out Italian or whatever.
It's amazing how well Jim Nabors could sing, considering he sounds like Gomer Powell when he talks.
Did he put out any records or anything?
Yeah, he did, and he also had his own television show in the 70s.
Yeah, I
Jim
thought
Nabors
so.
show.
Thought
Yeah,
so. Yeah, he's funny.
he was quite gifted as a singer. Oh, it's amazing. And he's in his 80s now. I think he's still singing after all these years.
Yeah, he's.
And did you know that the Marines made him an honorary Marine in real life, is my understanding?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, the character Gomer Pyle, when they had their own series. Have you ever seen Gomer Pyle, the television show?
Oh yeah.
He always stood for right.
Mhm.
Just that
Was it under
character
like
was-
Chief Sharkey? Was that it?
No, it was called Gomer Pyle, but it was a spin-off from the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because Gomer's character was on Andy Griffith, and then from there they had their show with, they called it Gomer Pyle.
I thought he
USMC.
had gotten on there with the guy who played Chief Sharkey. I can't think.
No,
of
you're
his
thinking Don Rickles. That's
yeah,
a different
Don
thing.
Rickles. Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
no. This is first was Gomer Pyle.
Mm-hmm.
USMC was the name of the show,
Okay.
and then he had his own variety show called the Jim Nabors Show in
Oh,
the '70s, where
okay.
he would invite guests, something like Carol Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
And but what's interesting about Jim Nabors was just that voice. He just had he still does.
Yeah, he was a
beautiful-
tenor. He was a tenor.
Beautiful voice. You should hear him sometime. The name of the episode is called "And the Song Festers"
Oh.
on the Andy Griffith Show,
Okay.
season 8, I think it was.
I could see him doing
Yeah, you
that.
can look it up.
Yeah,
And,
Don Knotts didn't have much for voice, no. He was better at being a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, but you know what was cool about the Andy Griffith Show? First, it was very clean. You ever really sit and watch that show?
Mhm.
All
That's
the
when Ron
episodes
Howard
are
started
clean.
out, long
You know,
time
it's very clean, and I always appreciate that. And that's a legacy that Andy Griffith left. And so for generations to come, when they watch the Andy Griffith Show, they can always see clean entertainment. It's
Right.
really funny stuff. And Jim Neighbors and all the rest of the characters that were on there, like Otis, the town drunk, and what was funny about him is he'd get the drink and then he'd just go he'd go and turn himself in the jail, and they'd let him sleep in the jail overnight
Yeah.
and then send him home in the morning.
Yeah.
And they had Ernest T, the mischievous character on the show.
Then little Ron Howard.
Yeah, Opie and
Aunt May. Aunt B, yeah.
Aunt B, Frances Baver, I think was her name in real life. But anyway, that was such a clean, delightful show, and so generations from now, if they're still running the Andy Griffith Show, they're
You
going
can
to be
see it
able
on
to...
MeTV.
That's correct. So, it was just such a clean show. And Jim Neighbors had a fantastic voice. So when I hear Santa Lucia, I always think of Jim Neighbors. And the other one, the Impossible
Well, I think
Dream.
he's actually Italian. I do. I think
He may be, I don't know.
I think that's part of his nationality.
That's called the Underdog Song. That's the title I know it by. It has other titles too. It's a children's song, which you've heard me play at the library.
Oh, where is my little dog gone?
Yeah.
Oh, where can he be?
And then, of course, on the Underdog series is, oh, where has my underdog gone?
Oh.
Oh, where can he be? Underdog was a famous cartoon in the 1960s, and he had a girlfriend named Sweet Polly, purebred. So whenever she'd get in trouble, she'd go, oh, where is my underdog? And he'd hear it, and he'd fly to her rescue.
But
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
she could be like on another planet. They had this one episode where she was hijacked by the Flying Saucers. The Flying Saucers episode. And so she starts singing when they took her to the planet because they like cakes. The Flying Saucers like cake. And they didn't know how to make a cake. So the king's like, who can we find that can bake a cake? And they zeroed in on Earth and they found Sweet Polly. So the king sends his sons to the Earth. They hijack Sweet Polly. You're going to be our baking slave. So she had to go in there and bake cakes and stuff. And she starts singing that song, and Underdog flew to that planet and saved her. So.
But of course, we'll have to redo Underdog if he comes to TV animation again. He can't have his vitamins anymore.
I know. We live in this politically correct world these days.
Yes, vitamins can't make you fly.
Well, you know, let's talk about the history of Underdog for a second. You know that cartoon was on for almost 10 years without a single rerun? But the secret to Underdog's power, when he would get tired, he had this vitamin energy pill in his ring, and he would take the pill and be really strong again. And Underdog was seen in like 200 countries around the world when it first came out.
It came out with Bullwinkle and...
Yeah, but Underdog stood out. And Underdog was the first character to ever be in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, you know, going sideways.
Yeah, they
to
had
get
about
more
20 people
exposure.
hold on to the ropes and keep
Yeah,
it
but I mean,
going.
when you look at the history of Underdog, and that's pretty impressive. 200 countries around the world in the 60s.
Yeah.
They had Underdog T-shirts and toothbrushes and everything.
Well,
and,
if you can get a show to run for 10 years
it
and
did,
get that,
without a
I think
single
that's
rerun.
good.
And then we started getting politically correct, which I think is stupid in some cases. Now, if it was like a racial thing, I could see. But, you know, Underdog took a pill, a vitamin energy pill, when he got weak and tired. So when we started getting politically correct, like in the mid-70s, the first thing they did was they went after poor old Underdog, and that's what caused the series to eventually go off the air. Well, we shouldn't have our children watching this Underdog character take a pill. I was like, oh, give it a break. That's like overkill on the politically correct.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now it's so bad if you just say the slightest thing wrong, it's like people
And
go after you.
that's the one thing that got me about the Peanut Conference Strict with Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Lucy and all them. Every time you listen to their teacher or their parents talked, it made you wonder if they were borrowing some underdog's pills. Because they go, wah, 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 wah,
I can tell you the history of that. Charles Schultz said in an interview when he was a little boy, and he had trouble listening to his teacher. To him, it sounded like his teacher was going wah 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 as a little boy. So
okay.
he used that
She's
and put
partially
it
deaf.
into the cartoons, and I think it worked. I'm all for political correctness and stuff, but I think it's overdone these days. In
At high
2015.
cost, yeah.
And it's too much. That's all I'm saying. And
I would like to see America go back where we have Friday nights, we can go to concerts and enjoy life and be happy, and then the weekends you don't have to work, Saturday and Sunday you just rest and prepare like it was, to go back to
Yeah.
work Monday through Friday, and I didn't see anything wrong with people working from 8 to 6.
yeah.
I think that was a good thing, because after you're done with grade school and then high school and college, life can get boring, and if you don't set yourself aside for a hobby or something other than chasing the money, you're really going to get burned out quickly and be very unhappy.
Yeah.
And never try to be perfect, because the word shouldn't have even put in the Webster's dictionary. There's nothing perfect. Humans are not allowed to have that perfection. It's our little curse there, We're allowed to do the best we can, to the best that we can do it, and then, get something out of it. So all of you out there that get your paycheck, buy a milkshake and save some money and then pay your bills too. Then at least your money goes 3 ways instead of 1 way to the creditor.
So anyway, while you were talking about that, I was playing Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That was another clean show.
Yeah, I liked it because it helped kids learn about
Have you ever
things.
seen Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on television? I just wish that in some instances television could go back to the purity and how clean it was. You had a lot of clean shows, the Carol Burnett Show, Underdog,
Well, you have to think outside-
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
They used to say think outside the box. Well, this time think outside the computer.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer to machines. Really, people don't, I do quite fine. I don't have a computer. I have a word processor for typing, but that's about
Well,
it.
computers come in handy. But that's why this Lawrence Welk show is important to me. The new Lawrence Welk show. Because the original Lawrence Welk show, it aired July 2nd, 1955. Can you imagine that? It was on ABC for 30 years.
Yeah, they
without
still
a
are.
single rerun.
And you can still see this on PBS.
Yeah, and this is why I'm humbled, because now I've been given the opportunity to do
kind
a
of cookies,
remake.
Rachel?
Those are pretty good cookies. A remake. I got those.
Are they raisin?
I don't know. I haven't eaten one yet. Anyway, I'm humbled to get to do the new Lawrence Welk show, and I hope we'll start probably this fall of 2015. And I want to bring back some of the clean, quality stuff. We're going to be doing more modern music, though, but in the style of Lawrence Welk.
Well, that's one thing that a friend of mine, her name's Pauline Berkwin, and she runs a ballroom dance hall. She teaches people ballroom. And the first thing we talked about when we were talking about how things have changed even in ballroom dancing was Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, well, see, my show's not going to be like that. I don't want it to be a reality show or anything like that.
Well, she talked
It'll
about
just be invited guests.
She talked about how the women were not dressing traditional, and
Yeah.
a lot of the dancing they're doing is not traditional. It's just winging it.
Well, my friend Louise, that's hostess of my show, she said pretty much the same thing, because she's a professional ballet teacher and dancer.
Right, and she's very good.
I know. And that's why I want to bring all that back to light. Speaking of that, let's have fun with Nadia's theme. You may know this song, Jen. It's amazing. So what do you think
It's
of our
the-
new set?
It's the theme to The Young and the Restless.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really awesome.
You know the real name of the song? It's called Nadia's Theme. That's its real name.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you the history in a moment.
Yeah, I used to watch the soap opera a little bit so I could hear the music every time it was coming on.
Hold that thought. We'll get to the soaps in a moment.
raisins to me.
You probably are. They look like raisins.
Are you gonna have one?
I don't know. If there's one without raisins, maybe. I prefer chocolate chips.
That kind of scares me, that tune. It's like really slow.
It's because Victor was having an affair with the neighbor. And Victor now is in a rest home, resting away.
And that is called Nadia's Theme. The history of that song, in 1976 there was a Russian gymnast named Nadia Comaneci. And she was the first person to ever score a perfect 10 in the Olympics. Everything she did, she got 10.
She did floor exercises and
She did everything,
fireballs.
everything. She scored a 10. She was the first person to ever score a perfect 10 in the Olympics. And then they composed that song and they called it Nadia's Theme. And then eventually they used it on the Young and the Restless television soap
Yeah,
opera.
like I was
So
telling her,
that was
Victor,
the history.
Victor was having an affair with the neighbor, now he's resting in a rest home.
But see, getting back to clean stuff, now I know soap operas were tame in comparison to today.
Spain's soap operas aren't, though.
Well, no, but I mean the ones that are on TV. Like, well, there's a handful that have lasted 40 years. I think
General
like The Young and the
Hospital,
Restless and General Hospital.
As the World Turns. And stuff.
But yeah, just a handful of them. But boy, they just get raw these days now. And I know it's a sign of our time
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, I was watching, I think it was a scene on The Bold and the Beautiful. I don't really remember. And I was just channel changing, right? And I happened to notice it. And you know how they always have the actors that are all chiseled and looking really fine, as the old saying goes.
When the serious moment and cliffhanger hits.
Yeah, and this one guy's like, "You stole my husband from me." It was strange seeing these two chiseled, good-looking guys fighting over a guy. But it's television.
That's called North Dakota soap opera.
Well, no, I'm not criticizing the soap opera. I'm just saying that soap operas seem to have come a long ways from the old days. I'm gonna play an old soap song. You tell me if you know the name of it, all right?
Okay.
This is an oldie here.
It sounds familiar.
You don't know it?
I've heard it, but I can't think of the name of it. It's not Dallas.
No, that's the theme to All My Children with Susan Lucci. I'll do it
yeah,
again.
okay. She's been on there forever. She's in Guinness Book of World Records.
I guess you've never seen All My Children. I don't think that's on
Oh,
anymore.
yeah, I have.
She's still on there, Susan Lucci.
Okay, well, there's a handful. Well, when I was growing up, they had a ton of soaps on. There's only a handful left these days now.
They're trying to turn like Spain's.
Well, because we have the computer age and stuff.
El
And soap
Telemundo.
operas are kind of drifting aside now in comparison to the reality shows that we have today, and you know, all the other shows like CSI and Law and Order. And of course, I do like Law and Order, especially the Special Victims Unit.
I think we need more comedy and
Well,
less
yeah,
lost shows.
I realize that, and the reason I make an exception with Law and Order is because I can relate to that show.
I like The Big
So-
Bang Theory. I think it's really hilarious.
Yeah, and even those comedies are kind of like updated, modern. And you know, they got the new Odd Couple now.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen that? It's pretty funny, actually.
It was different.
Yeah, I know. It's not exactly Tony Randall and Jack Klugman, but it was fun.
I mean, because
to
everybody's
watch
going,
that.
there's Chandler.
Yeah, I think he's
That
getting
guy's from France.
typecast.
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. He's getting typecast. But anyway, getting back to the Lawrence Welk show, this is why I want to do this Lawrence Welk show and bring some of that old quality back. And like you know, and you'll probably be doing some stuff on this new Lawrence Welk show too when I get it going. we're going to do everything in the Lawrence Welk style, but just more modern stuff. You know, like when we did that Painted Black. Mm-hmm. Let's have fun with Painted Black. You familiar with Painted Black?
Yeah.
And I want to play that on our new set here for you ladies and for Pee Wee here. I'll do the entire thing.
Okay.
And the conclusion. There you go.
Now-
My version of Painted Black.
Now I have some media challenges I'd like to announce.
Okay.
One, Mick Jagger, you need to come in here and shake his hand.
Yes, if Mick Jagger ever sees this, this is our third season. If Mick Jagger ever sees this, this is my tribute to the Rolling Stones. It's the only song by that group I can play.
Yep. And if the Celtic women have not went back to Ireland yet from Bozeman, please come by MCAT and say hi to Patti.
Yes.
And then the third one is the Screaming Orphans, we miss you and we want you at our Celtic Fest. Please try to make
Let's do
it.
an old Irish tune. I'm going to do Coming Through the Rye real quick.
Okay.
You'll recognize it.
I should know the words. I'll have to look
That's
up
okay.
the words.
I'm going to do it again. Redeem myself. I could do it a lot better. Pretty that part. There you go. Coming Through the Rye is the name of that song.
Do you know the song You Raised Me Up?
Not well enough to do yet.
Okay.
I'm still working. I know of it, so.
I'm gonna try it tonight at karaoke.
What time do you go on tonight?
It's at West Side Lanes, which is off of Russell Street in Wyoming.
Why don't you look at that camera and tell our viewing audience there?
Hi, I'm going to try to do some St. Patty's Day songs over at West Side Lanes, which starts at 9. I'll be there at 8:30. It's off of Russell Street in Wyoming. Make sure you show up with lots of good cheer and lots of applause. I love applause.
Great. And I may not be able to go, but obviously I got my support. So blessings on you there. You'll do well. You normally do. And I wanted to say thank you for the lemon soda.
You're welcome.
Actually, it's not really soda. It's are you familiar with this San Pellegrino? Is that how that's pronounced?
No, but a Snapple.
It's very good, actually. So maybe they'll have me as a pitchman one day, huh? Who knows?
It'll be the new Uncola person.
Yes, the new uncolored person. Well, I don't really drink a lot of soda anyway. Not anymore. As I've gotten physically older, I just stopped drinking it.
Well, there's flavored water too.
I know.
That
I mean, there's
works
nothing
pretty
wrong
good.
with soda. I'm not dogging on that. It's just, when you get physically older, you just tend to want to
But
change your diet.
the one thing you do need is club soda when you do your laundry, because when you do your laundry and you have a lot of stains, if you put the club soda with your bleach, it will make it a lot much whiter.
Oh, cool. I remember that.
Maybe even glow in the dark. Who knows?
So you doing all right there, Jen?
Yes,
Good.
I am.
Good.
You're doing a good job. I like.
Whoa,
your-
She's the silent partner.
That's all right,
guest.
silence is good, you know. Silence is golden, as you know, you know.
Your music's great, by the way.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to really acknowledge God. I'm not trying to preach at anyone, but you've had to live my life. And everything I am and do with the piano is because of God. And so I like to give God all the credit for everything I do, because that's where it comes from. But thank you for those compliments. It's very, very kind.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. What can we do next? Okay. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a song. You tell me if you can remember it from the past.
Okay.
You recognize it?
I recognize it, but I can't think of the name of it. Fernando's Hideaway? Is that what it is?
That's the theme to King Kong,
Oh,
the original cartoon. Do you remember it
it
now?
almost sounds like Fernando's Hideaway.
It does, you know.
Oh, like
And then it has a part that goes like
Fernando's
this.
Hideaway. Oh, like.
Then the second part goes like this. Recognize that part?
Was that when Jessica Lange was in love with the monkey?
It's a cartoon.
Oh, okay. I thought Jeff Bridges was going to be running in anytime. I'll save you, Jessica. I'll get you from the monkey. Come with me. Here comes a hand. Ah!
And here's the conclusion. That's an old cartoon. I don't even think anybody would even remember it.
No.
That is the original cartoon called King Kong. That's the theme song.
That was black and white then. Back.
No, you're thinking of the movie. I'm talking about the cartoon.
Well, they had
Well,
they had
they had the
a black and
1930
white cartoon too. That wasn't really sophisticated, not a lot of special effects or anything.
Well, maybe they did, but this version I played it was more like in the 60s or 70s. It was
Oh.
the colored cartoon version, the original
Okay.
color King Kong. When I was a kid, they had a bunch of cartoons like the Archies and the King Kong and Tomfoolery, and I don't even think anybody even remember Tomfoolery.
Well, I
And,
remember Kung Fu. Kung Fu Fooey.
Hong Kong Phooey,
Hong
I
Kong
think.
Phooey,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that. I used to watch that.
Hanna-Barbera, a lot of
Yeah,
them.
I've been to the Hanna-Barbera
Flintstones?
studios in California.
Oh, really? They have
Well,
a
this
studio?
this was before the computer age.
Oh, okay.
In those days, what they used to do, like when they were doing the Flintstones and stuff, or the Jetsons, they would physically hand draw the cartoons, and frame by frame. So when they gave me a tour, they took me down this hall where they had these professional portraits encased in glass.
Right.
Like Yogi Bear and Boo Boo and Fred and
like
Wilma.
they were
and,
actually live people.
No, it was the cartoons, but they were in the professionally drawn in the cases. And they had like all the Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters, the Jetsons, the whole...
Probably at everybody's desk too. They had miniatures of every character.
No, these were like big portraits, and it was just cool. And listen, I'm going to really do some name dropping here. Secret Squirrel, do you remember Secret Squirrel?
No,
How about
I remember-
Adamant?
No, I remember Rocky the Flying Squirrel.
Yeah, well that
And
wasn't...
Bullwinkle.
Yeah, but that wasn't Hanna-Barbera though. Those were...
Jabberjaw was Hanna-Barbera. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that was Hanna-Barbera. They had like the Warner Brothers was like Bugs Bunny and Daffy and Tweety and Sylvester. That was Warner Brothers.
Rooster Cogburn.
And so each one of those major studios had their cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
But Hanna-Barbera was cool. When they took me on that tour, it was just one of the most impressive things I ever saw. But now we live in a computer age now, so...
Well, see, it's kind of funny that they had the Jetsons, because the Jetsons was like a prediction of what things were headed for, and a lot of that stuff is happening right now.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard that said, but they're just fun cartoons. But of course, with me, my personal favorite cartoon was Underdog. Let's see if I can figure that out. Something like that.
Underdog. Underdog. Turn the fan on while he's playing.
I'm figuring out. I'm just doing it blindly. Something like this. Something like that.
They had another one that came out back then. It was like the Monster School or Monster Squad or something like that, where it was a
I don't know,
cartoon
man. I
that
don't
had the
know.
werewolf and Frankenstein and Dracula and all them on there.
Well, there were so many cartoons in the 70s, it's hard to know them all.
Yeah.
But,
I think
You know,
Bill
we have
Cosby
a-
did his own cartoon.
yeah, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids? But see, my point is, all those shows had a moral, clean point to them.
Right. Well, that was about
television,
Fat
like you were
Albert,
saying
wasn't it?
earlier, is getting away from that, and so I want to bring that back to life with my new Lawrence Welk show.
A lot of the cartoons to me now are they're kind of boring,
Uh-huh.
and I still like. I mean, you still have to get used to the way they're drawing some of the new, like the Legion Hall now.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a lot different than when Stan Lee was drawing.
Well, yeah, I know, we're modernized, and I understand that, so, you know, but,
Like you have American Dad now, and
well, yeah, and some of the cartoons they have now, I personally don't think people should be watching them. I
South
think
Park.
Yes, let's talk about that for a second. If it were left up to me, I would ban South Park from being seen around the world if it were left up to me. But I don't have that authority and that power. You know, because I think some cartoons are very inappropriate for children, and I think that South Park is one of them. And I make no quarrels about it.
And
I don't
Beavis
like
and
that
Butthead.
cartoon. I don't think much of the people who put that together. I don't think much of the plot lines on those cartoons like Beavis and Butthead and all the rest.
Yeah,
I just think
yeah.
they're terrible.
yeah,
Terrible
yeah.
cartoons for children.
Well, see, they
to
were
be
being
watching.
gentle with the Simpsons, and then they.
I
kind
can
of
deal with The
progressed.
Simpsons, but past that, no. And I
What
wish
about
that,
American Dad?
I don't care for any of those.
Yeah.
I've looked at a few episodes of it, and I just think it's very inappropriate. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not a cartoonist,
Right.
and I don't control
Well,
Hollywood.
they you know that
you know?
on American Dad they had one episode that which I thought was like educating children and learning of what happens when you smoke a pipe.
Well, you know, I just think it's inappropriate, and I wish that there would be a cartoonist that would make some clean stuff like, even bad cartoons. Well, they weren't bad. Like, you remember Penelope Pit Stop?
And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, this is way before your time.
Disney
Penelope
did a
Pitstop
really good
was,
job.
well, no,
Disney-
she was a very clean, wholesome girl, cartoon character. And her ward was really a bad guy out to destroy her and take
Right.
her fortune.
Right.
So he played a dual identity. But see, my point is, when they had cartoons that were kind of sinister like that, at least there was this definite message of good over evil.
Right. Right.
Not this inappropriate stuff like these new cartoons. And then another thing I liked about the early cartoons, at least, you know, like in the past, it was the animals that were the stars.
Right. Right.
And we've gotten away from that too.
Chip and Dale. And,
But I'm
Speedy
just saying that
Gonzales.
the storyline of cartoons today is just very inappropriate as far as I'm concerned for
Yeah.
children.
yeah.
And I don't have any children, and I'm not married or anything, but if I were a parent, I would not allow my children to watch cartoons like South Park and so on.
Yeah.
And yes, if South Park gets mad at me, let them get mad, because they know that those cartoons are not appropriate for children,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Well, that's why they should actually put them on late at night, you know, or later.
Well, perhaps, I
Past
don't know.
bedtime.
It's just, yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
here's an old show from the past. Let's have fun with this. Tell me if you can tell me what this is.
Lassie.
Yep. I'll I'll stop right there. There's no use doing the whole thing. You probably never saw Lassie, the original Lassie.
I saw it. Yeah, I have.
Well, they've had a lot of TV series with Lassie, but the original was that theme song. It was a whistler that whistled, and Lassie would hear it. She'd run home. And the actress June Lockhart was the mom. This was before Lost in Space, which, of course, Lost in Space comes on MeTV. And see, when I was a little boy, they had a lot of those science fiction shows like Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel. They were all made by the same producer, Irwin Allen, and they were
Then we had
interesting shows.
then we had the Star Trek going on, and Batman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And of course, Star Trek stood out like a sore thumb
Yes.
and became probably the most popular.
And it was logical.
Yeah. Let's have fun with Batman. Let's see if I can figure this out. See.
Holy bats, Batman! I hear the signal now.
Let's see if I can figure this out. You know, if I took time to learn, I bet I could figure. Let me try it again. I don't know how to see. Something like that. I had to figure it out.
Batman.
Let's see. Something like that. I've never actually done that before. Give me some time. Catch me in a couple weeks. I can probably get it worked out. But, you know,
What about
they've had
I
a
Dream a
lot.
Genie?
That's never really a piano song, but that would be a fun one to do. But see, all those shows were delightful shows. I Dream a Genie, Gilligan's Island, and I know
Bewitched.
that they're kind of corny by today's standards of comedy, but
Well, when
They
they,
were
came up with
fun
Three's
and
Company,
clean.
they were trying to cut loose a little bit. But then we have Happy Days and that and Laverne and Shirley. They kind of stayed within the cut.
you know,
That was Scary
I
Marshall.
don't want to pick on Happy Days. The only reason why I had trouble with Happy Days is because when I watched that show, I would watch it from a point of an African American. And the relations in the 50s between black and white people in our country was not very good. So if you lived in that time of Happy Days and you were African American, you would probably get shunned.
Yeah, it was
And I know that
sad.
that's just a comedy show and it's not talking about racism, but that's just the way I see Happy Days.
Right.
So that's why I have a hard time. It's just like if you were Jewish and you watched Hogan's Heroes. You know, that just, I know that they weren't making fun of Jewish people and stuff. And they were making fun of the Germans and the Nazis, but, you know, it's just, it's sensitive, you know. And that's how I see Happy Days, and that's kind of a crude analogy. Well, no, it's a funny show. I've watched it. I've watched some episodes, and I just thought it was amusing, very funny.
Well, they had the opposite. They had the Jeffersons and Good Times, you know.
Yeah, I didn't care for
And
the
I
Jeffersons
just seen Jimmy Walker the other night on comedies on Central, and oh my goodness,
Well, yeah, it would be.
age has caught him. Yeah,
Well, yeah, you can't.
he's not
stay
so
young.
dynamite.
Well, she's still a funny comedian, though.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away, but
Yeah.
it's too bad we can't stay young.
Yeah, yeah.
But the aging process happens to all of us, so that's just life.
Yeah, he was talking about credit cards. He's making a joke about credit cards. He goes, you know how you just want to leave your plastic at home, but then you hear the commercial with Call and Robin, never leave home without it, and then they make you use it, so you have to turn around and go get it, so you can't leave home without your plastic ever.
And even the detective shows of the past, like The Streets of San Francisco,
Yeah,
with Carl Malden. Do you remember? Well,
Michael
all these
Douglas.
shows go before your time, but they're very old
that was
shows.
Michael Douglas' big break.
Yeah. But you know that was what 30 years ago at least.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, many moons ago. Well, we got to get current here so Jen can get in on this conversation here. Let's think of something that we can get her either laughing or.
So what did you do for St. Patty's Day?
Nothing.
Nothing. You didn't
Nothing.
even eat a potato. Did you eat a potato?
No.
Okay.
You didn't eat a Mr. Potato Head, huh?
No.
Did you have Brussels sprouts? Did you have cabbage? Did you have a carrot?
Oh, I ate some of that soup. The, what is it? Corned beef soup or something like that?
Oh, the Irish stew
Yeah.
that I made?
Not the one you made, but I've tried something similar.
Corned
to
beef and cabbage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the.
How did you like that?
It was good, but I was thinking when I
Corned
was
beef is
eating
very
it,
salty.
I was thinking about you the last show when you were telling me about your soup that you make it, the way you make it. Did you get to make your soup that day?
Oh yes, I actually made about 3 pots of it.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
and I handed it out to about 20 people. They couldn't make it out, so I froze it and I took it to them and made Blarney stones. It's my little invention. It's a glorified Twinkie. You take the Twinkie and you ice it with like a frosting with Cool Whip, your favorite kind. I use the white kind.
Yes.
And then I grind up honey roasted peanuts and I literally saturate it in as many Twinkies with Cool Whip on them as possible on a cookie sheet. And then you cover them with saran wrap and you put them in the freezer for 10 minutes.
Yes.
And they're very good. Very good.
That sounds good.
So I haven't had anybody send the bowls back full. Someday I maybe do mass protection because last year it was 15 people that I gave this to. Now this time it's 20.
Wow.
So we're building. When I first started making it, I started out with 5 people. And then it turned to 10 and then 15. Now we're up to 20. But I've been making it for 29 years and it's my own little invention.
That is a song called The Russian Fantasy. It's not a piano song. If you're like one of those instrumentalists, like a trumpet player or a
You
clarinet
can always play
player.
something from ELO.
Well, no, I mean, you know, they have these what they call variations where you hear the melody and they're doing all these tricks, but
Yeah.
that's not a piano song, so I'm not going to be able to do it here. But I can at least do the first melody part, you know.
Nice.
Isn't that a pretty melody? That's just a neat little melody. Or like this other one, the Carnival of Venice.
Oh, I know that song.
And then after that, you know, they do all the little tricks, whatever. And I'm not going to be able to do it on here, but.
What
that's
about
pretty
what
cool.
about the theme to Dallas? Can you play the theme to Dallas?
I can pick that up.
J.R. Ewing. Very
Something like
good,
that,
yeah, he did it.
Something like that, yeah. Dallas. You know, Larry Hagman, he was quite the actor, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I liked him in I Dream of Jeannie.
Let's talk about that. On I Dream of Jeannie, my favorite episode was the one, it's called Jeannie at the Piano. I'll tell you the episode, you might remember it. Well, you know, Major Nelson, he was an astronaut. And so he got stranded on this island in the pilot episode, and he found this bottle. And when he rubbed the bottle, the genie came out, and she was like really hot. But she couldn't speak English.
At one point, they wouldn't let her show her belly button.
Well, I mean, in the pilot it was black and white. You can
Yeah.
see it on YouTube. And she couldn't speak English. And he goes, well, I sure wish you could speak English. And all of a sudden, she was able to speak English. And so then he goes, I'm going to set you free. You're a free genie. Just go. I'm going to be going home. And she decided she didn't want to be free. So she waited till he went looking. And she made the bottle roll into his handbag. So that when he got rescued by the Air Force and went home, he takes a step out the bag, there's the bottle. And that's how the series started. But getting back to my favorite episode of I Dream of Jeannie, Major Nelson was at the base, and there was this little spinet piano sitting there, and nobody could play the piano. And so the Major comes in, and I mean, you know, like the general and everybody, and Tony happened to be sitting at the piano. They wanted him to play a song. He didn't know how to play a song. So his genie goes, she blinks, and she blinks the piano, so that whoever sits in front of the piano becomes an instant virtuoso. So Major Nelson's sitting up there playing all this Chopin stuff and just cut loose on the piano, and everybody's looking like, we didn't know you could play the piano.
I can't.
So he's like trying to tell him he couldn't play. Nobody believed him, right?
Yeah.
So the general, you know, they book him for Carnegie Hall. And so, of course...
He gets mad of course you hear him go, Jeannie!
Yeah, he gets mad.
He gets mad about the eating.
So, of course, Jeannie only blinked the one piano. And it was the little spinet piano. So he's up there in Carnegie Hall in front of this big, like, concert grand. And Jeannie got locked in this safe, so she couldn't get out to go to Carnegie Hall to help him. So he's sitting there in front of everybody at Carnegie Hall, like playing chopsticks, and he's like butchering chopsticks. And everybody's like, what happened to him? Finally, Jeannie gets out of the safe, right? She goes to Carnegie Hall, and she takes a little spinet piano and puts it on stage. They move the 9-foot grad, and he plays the spinet because she blinked the piano, and of course everybody liked his work. But that was a funny episode to me. And they had this scene on there. This African-American little boy, he got control of the piano for a while, right? So the piano was sitting in his bedroom, and the little boy never sat in front of the piano and played it because he didn't know it was a magic piano. So Major Nelson and Jeannie and everybody, they're like giving this kid money, like, hey, here, we'll give you some money, kid. We want this piano back. He's like, look at the chassis of this piano. You're going to take advantage of a little kid? And he was squeezing those... squeeze them out of all their money, right? And so then the little boy says to the genie, goes, now, you know, if this was a trumpet, your little anxious friends wouldn't have a chance of getting it from me. And the little boy says, I always wanted to play the trumpet, but my parents said it smashes your teeth in. And I just thought that was funny writing. So Jeannie blinks this trumpet without the little boy watching. And she watches the little boy and says, I'll tell you what, we'll not only give you this money, we'll give you this brand new trumpet if you give us the piano. So she blinked the trumpet, so the kid puts the trumpet up to his lips. He's like cut loose like Louis Armstrong, just doing all these little tricks on the trumpet. It was pretty cool. And so they get the piano. And
They had a similar one on Bewitched. It was similar.
well, I don't know that episode, but I mean the I Dream of Jeannie one. That was just my personal favorite because maybe because I just played the piano.
Yeah,
but
they had a deal where there was a boy that he wanted to make his parents proud, so he wanted to become really good at piano and that, and they couldn't afford the piano that they needed and stuff. So Samantha zaps him up a deal where that somehow the piano gets delivered to the home out of the blue, and the mom's freaking out, going, "Where did you buy this?" Talking to the dad, you know. "No, I didn't. We can't afford that." "Well, who bought the? I don't know. Well, we better bring it in, I guess." And
well, you know, this is a true story. Speaking of piano, I don't know if you know this story, how the piano came into our family when I was in the 4th grade. My father, my father was stationed in Taipei, Taiwan, so my birth mom, my brother and my sister, we all lived overseas with him. And when we came back to the United States, they sent them to Langley Air Force Base up there in Hampton, Virginia. And my dad used to drink gin. Every time he'd get to drink a gin, he'd leave the house and come home with something brand new, like towels, toasters, lamps, whatever. So one day he was like really drinking and feeling good. And a few hours later, he came home with this brand new piano. I was in the 4th grade when that happened. And that's how this whole thing started. And my mom had a fit. She was crying, literally. Because she freaked out over this piano. We had a brand new piano in our house, and nobody knew how to play it. And I started messing around with it, and eventually, a couple years later, when we moved to Sacramento, I started getting music lessons. And that's kind of how it started. I wrote about that in my autobiography.
so how did your dad get the piano? Did he just go buy it?
He had it delivered. He must have went to a music store or something. I don't know. I wasn't there. He came home, and then maybe about a half hour later, there was a knock on our door, and they delivered this piano.
Nice.
And I'm not talking used. It was brand new, hot off the press, brand new piano my father bought home. And
Too bad you couldn't have kept it all that time.
well, my mom may still have it, but it's faded over the years, obviously, now. Probably couldn't be played anymore. But that's a true story. I was in the 4th grade, and that's how that happened. So that's kind of a fun little story. And I'm not endorsing drinking gin or anything like that, but it worked in this case.
Hey, in Scandinavia, they put cognac in their pancakes, I found out. I was watching PBS last
Yeah,
night.
but don't they just boil the alcohol out of that dough when they make this?
No, what they do is they soak the raisins, they get raisins, they soak them for a lot of hours in the cognac, and then they make the pancakes up, and then when they get done cooking them, they actually put powdered sugar on top of it and cognac seasoned raisins.
Well, ladies, time has flown by. It's almost time to stop. I'm going to do one last song, and since we're outdoors in this outdoor cafe, I'm going to do...
something Irish.
Hmm?
Do something Irish.
Well, I did. I was thinking of something Dean Martin for our set, since we're outdoors, so to speak.
Okay.
I'm
Something
gonna do,
springtime. Something about springtime.
That's Amore.
Okay.
That's a perfect song for an outdoor tune. You'll recognize this.
Okay.
There's little Pee Wee. That's cute.
She plays piano with Bill Eileen, invisible piano. There was her song. Now she's wore out.
That's Amore, Dean Martin. That was cute having Pee Wee dance to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is.
So we're gonna make a copy of that show in a little bit, and I'll post it on YouTube, and everybody can see it.
Now Pee Wee's hot and bothered.
Oh, that's good. And ladies and gentlemen, this is again a very special show because this is our episode 1, our 3rd season. Every time we do 15 episodes, we'll call it a new season. And so we have a new virtual set. We're outdoors now instead of indoors like the last season.
Such as summer should be, and spring.
Yeah, so this will be fun. And again, we have Miss Jennifer Sawyer, and we have our hostess, Patti Reed, and our mascot, Pee Wee. And I didn't get a chance to comment on your blinking lights. And
Oh,
if
thanks.
they
This
can
is my
show
Irish
that.
dress.
Yeah, I know.
It's
You're going to
green
be doing
velvet.
that tonight when you're doing your Irish songs.
Yes. Yep, I'm going to sing You Raised Me Up.
Good.
It's
And
a
I think
very,
you'll do
very good
just
Irish
fine.
turn.
I think
This
you'll
way
do
we
just
won't
fine.
have cabin fever anymore, huh? Yeah. Get out there, enjoy that sunshine, get some vitamin C.
Yeah. Well, it's time to sign off. Thank you for watching another episode of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and on behalf of my guest here and little Pee Wee, until our next show, Maranatha.
Bye-bye. Happy Ireland Day. May the rest of your month be very lucky for you. We're red.
I
The-
touched it with my hand. Whoops. Sorry.
Now you've got fingerprints on it. You are marked woman.
Oh, good. Is it okay
My
if I
phone
use
kept
this?
going off.